Hey everyone, and welcome to Clay's Canucks Commentary. I'm Clay Emo, and I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter. And I just got out of the Vancouver Canucks town hall meeting for season ticket holders. They had one tonight, which is Tuesday night. They had one on Friday morning, and I'm pretty sure this one was much bigger, probably 500 people or so, and there's only about 150 or 200 or so on the Friday morning. But I think that's because that one started at 7 a.m., whereas this one started at 5:30 in the evening. It was very interesting. Trevor, Linden, and Jim Benning came down to muted applause, and I think the mood tonight overall was a bit more forgiving, was a bit more pleasant than maybe Fridays. Fridays came on the heels of the trade deadline, which many Canucks fans would consider a failure. Kind of led to a more testy and edgy mood on Friday. Whereas tonight, I think people have had about a week or so to kind of digest what happened or what didn't happen at the trade deadline. They've read all the reports from last Friday's town hall meeting, and they realized that this season, the rest of the season, is all about the future, all about the young core of the team and moving forward. So when Trevor Linden came down, the very first thing he said was that he was looking forward to being honest and being unfiltered. And I truly felt that him and Jim Benning were indeed honest and unfiltered and genuine. I know a lot of people might not agree with me, especially the more negatives or the naysayers out on Twitter especially. And I get it, they're fans, they're passionate as well. They want to see the team win. They don't like being lied to or perceived to being lied to. And it's tough. We all have our opinions. We all question a lot of the moves that management makes. But sitting there among the fans, I can truly say that I felt that Benning and Linden were indeed being truthful and honest. That's all I ask. If they can own up to making bad mistakes, or if they explain why things were tough to do at the trade deadline or whatever it may be, I can live with that. We're not always going to get the guy that we want, or we're not always going to get the deal that we want. But as long as they're being truthful, I think that's what fans want. And to me, that's what we got tonight. The way I look at this team going forward is really three phases or three aspects. There's the upcoming draft, there's the young core, and there's the aging veterans or the older players, so to speak. And Benning and Linden kept talking about the two Ds, drafting and developing. So that really takes care of those first two aspects. I'm very confident in Benning's drafting ability, and we know that was his strength coming in. In two drafts, we've seen him take guys like Virtanen and McCann, Demko, Besser, Triumphant. So there's a lot of good guys there that are going to be the foundation of our team for many years to come. So I'm very confident in his drafting abilities, and he said as much, that no matter where they pick, anywhere from 1 through 12, that they are very confident that they're going to get a good player in this year's draft. All things being equal, they'll be drafting a defenseman. So that was kind of interesting to hear. The second one is the developing. And when they talked about the core of the team, they named 7 guys in particular. They named Virtanen, Hutton, Horvat, McCann, Besser, Demko, and Tanev. A few forwards, a couple defensemen, and a goalie. I don't get too caught up in who they didn't mention. They didn't mention Berchi. They didn't mention Gauntz. They didn't mention Subban. They didn't mention Markstrom. But I think it's not so much about who they didn't mention, but rather who they did mention. And obviously those 7 guys are guys that they're very high on. And Virtanen in particular, Jake Virtanen's name kept coming up throughout the night as a guy that they want to see develop, that they're excited about, and they want him learning from the veterans. Which brings us to point number 3, the veterans. And in particular, people went hard on them at their signings of Spiza and Dorsett last summer. And actually, a lot of people in the crowd were really happy with Dorsett, the way he plays, the way he gives his all. Might make more money than some people might want him to. But overall, the crowd was very appreciative of what Dorsett brings, and Linden and Benning acknowledged that. And they stressed why they wanted to lock him up for a couple of years at that cost. Spiza's the one we're not so sure about. There were a lot of groans and stuff when Benning and Linden, and Benning actually tried to explain that that's the market value now for a defenseman is going to be $3.5 to $4 million. They like his age, he's 25. They like his intensity, they like his physicality. So those are things that at least they see in Spiza. And Benning even said that other GMs have called him and said that was a really good signing when you locked him up. It depends on the way you look at it. That's a lot of money locked up in 2 guys, but at least in Dorsett's case, a lot of fans seem fine with the signing now after they've seen him give his heart and soul to the team for this season. One other interesting note, Benning said that they filed a contract for Triumphant with the league, and they expect to be finalized in the next 2 days. So we should hear news about him being finalized as signed as a Canuck in the next 48 hours, which is pretty exciting. And the crowd at Rogers Arena was understandably very excited about that. So to sum up, nothing new, no bombshells, nothing earth-shattering. just a good hour and a half with the team. For those that believe in Linden and believe in Benning and believe in the plan that they are developing for this team, the course of action, of drafting, of developing, then you heard what you wanted to hear. If you're kind of still mad at them about the trade deadline, why aren't they doing more to develop the team or sign new guys or trade or whatever it may be, then you might be left disappointed. But I think overall, Linden and Benning laid out their plan. They asked us to stay faithful to the process, to trust in them, and know that a rebuild of this team is going to take some time. So hopefully Canucks fans will be faithful enough to stick to the plan, to be patient, to persevere, and ultimately see this team succeed in future years. Thanks for watching. I invite you to follow me on Twitter at Canuck Clay. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. God bless and go Canucks go.